Coming up tonight on Sports Paws, is the men's lacrosse team able to stay in playoff contention?
And the women's tennis team continues to dominate in MAC play. We have a special guest in studio.
You're not going to want to miss it. Stick with us. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sports Paws. My name is Sierra Goodwill.
And I'm Chris Stacy. And Sierra, it is finally feeling like spring outside, and the spring sports teams are busy with MAC play now in full swing.
That's right, Chris. But we are going to start tonight's show off with developments in the Rick Seeley case. A recent memorandum shows that women's ice hockey players reported former head coach Rick Seeley's alleged abusive behavior as early as 2009. Seeley resigned in 2015 after an incident which she grabbed one of his players at a game against Harvard. The recent memorandum includes athletic surveys which cite alleged emotional and physical abuse by Seeley. Players wrote that Seeley grabbed them by their jerseys, made comments about players slicing their wrists, and threatened to take away scholarships and playing time if athletes spoke up. We're now going to bring in Andrew Badillo, Q30 reporter, to talk a little bit more about the situation. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, guys. Just start off with basically what the memorandum means. It was released early last week, and it was a 290-page document filled with allegations, basically hinting or saying that Rick Seeley was abusing players since 2009, as you guys opened up the show with. Examples of this abuse include, but are not limited to, slitting wrists. Seeley would allegedly go into the locker room, and if players were not performing up to potential, he would ask them if they needed razor blades. And other examples of abuse, including threatening players with scholarships, all players who weren't performing up to their potential. Cursing at players. There were accounts within the athletic surveys, players saying that they lost count how many times Seeley would use the F word towards them in locker rooms, on the bench, in practice. Other allegations that arose in the surveys include an instance where a hockey puck was actually shot at Olivia Augustinelli's head during practice. Again, this is all alleged, or these are all allegations made within the surveys and within other documents within that memorandum. It's also important to note that former Director of Athletics and Recreation Jack McDonald commented at the time that Seeley resigned, saying quote, "Obviously, if we knew what is being alleged, then the hiring would not have happened." He's obviously talking about Rick Seeley at the time that the university did hire him. Seeley was hired back in 2008 and 2009. The first reports, according to the memorandum, the first allegations of abuse at Quinnipiac happened in 2009, 2010. So you can connect the dots. The university has not commented on any of this matter, any of the matters surrounding the memorandum. No comment from Associate Vice President John Morgan, from former Director of Athletics and current Director of Athletics at University of New England, Jack McDonald. Bill Mecca did not return a phone call that was placed at his office on Friday, and Executive Vice President and Provost Mark Thompson did not return a message left at his office earlier today.
So Andrew, a lot of information that we're all getting. So if you can synthesize some of the details for this case, what would you say? So
essentially, to break it down a little bit and sort of point out the most important parts of the memorandum, it really goes back to that Harvard game that you guys referenced in your open. Back in 2014, 2015, the incident that really brought light to the investigation that was put forth and eventually resulted in Seeley resigning. Again, this is all alleged information inside the memorandum. That incident is what basically got him out at Quinnipiac. It was a situation between him and TT Cianfrano, who currently is a rising junior at the school, a star forward. He allegedly grabbed her on the bench, proceeded to curse her out. Assistant coach Paul Nemetz Carlson then intervened as Seeley kept grabbing Cianfrano, again all allegedly, and continued to curse at her. Seeley then pushed Carlson away and told him, it's quoted in the memorandum, to F off, Paul, don't ever grab me again. Again, this is all alleged information, and it's also important to note that this happened in the public eye. There are allegations within the surveys and within other notes with meetings with athletic administrators and players that fans, Harvard personnel did see this event take fold. So again, this is huge. There were so many instances, so many different accounts from players on the team, past players, about what happened, and they all line up, again, all allegations. But again, connecting the dots, it definitely, certainly does not look good for the university.
All right, thanks for coming on, Andrew.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, we are going to move straight into some spring sports action. The men's lacrosse team entered the rematch of last year's MAC championship game at 1-2 in the MAC. Let's see how the game went. Like I said, rematch of last year's MAC championship game. Big game for both teams. It was senior day for Quinnipiac. You're going to see Jack Brust here getting honored with his parents, and you're going to see the other 3 seniors with their parents and their families. We're going to pick up action here in the first half. We're going to see a great pass by Joe Tierney to find J.D. Record for the behind-the-back goal there. That was very nice. You might see that one later in our top 5 plays at the end of the show. Make sure you stay tuned. And we're going to see Tyler DeVito right here. Nice shot right there for the freshman. He leads all freshmen on scoring for this team. And still in the first half, we're going to see a nice ball move by Maris. And then that one's going to be finished right there. No chance for Brust. And Maris later. This is as the half was winding down. That is Joe Tierney going into the half with momentum going into the second half. And we're going to see Joe Tierney right here wrap around the goal. He's going to finish his day with 3 goals. That's a hat trick. Jack Brust didn't see that one very well. You see him. He's pumping up his team. Still in the second half here. We're going to see another rip by Maris right there. No chance for Jack Brust. And then see Quinnipiac not going away. We're going to see Ryan Lawson with that lefty rip. That was a nice goal. Keep Quinnipiac in this one late, but that is just not going to be enough. Quinnipiac's going to lose this one 9-8 on the senior day. You're going to see Jack Brust there walking off in frustration. Broke his stick there. And we're going to see, we talked to Coach Eric Feketa. And
made some mistakes along the way. We put a valiant effort in the last 5 minutes of the game, but if you don't give up 2 goals with under 2 seconds to go in the first and second quarter, you're not in that position in the first place.
To be honest with you, it's hard to put into words. It's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life, and it's made me the person I am today, and I'm forever grateful for that. So it's tough, but it's a hell of a ride.
Tough loss for the men's lacrosse team. So now let's see where they stand in the MAC standings. Quinnipiac, you see them at 6th place out of 7. Monmouth and Canisius at the top of the MAC, both undefeated at 3-0. Quinnipiac now, Chris, really has to win out to be able to squeak into playoff contention to get those 3 wins up there, so they put themselves in quite the tough position. But now let's move over to the women's side of things and check out the women's lacrosse team at Iona, coming off of this game. Their last game was against Manhattan, a thrilling win in overtime. So here in the first half, Alex Leshak, the senior, giving Quinnipiac some momentum early 4-2, and then the freshman, Victoria Babinski, continuing her stellar season. But in the second half, Quinnipiac down 1 at this point, but Allison Kuhn controlling the ball well and giving Quinnipiac the tying goal to send it into overtime, Chris. But wait, before we get into overtime, huge reason why they're even there in the first place is Kyle Larkin. Not just one save, Chris, time in and time again, Kyle Larkin was a brick wall in between the pipes for this Quinnipiac team, including this huge save with less than 3 seconds left for Quinnipiac to get into overtime. And in overtime, it is Kuhn again turning on the Jets behind the net and ripping one to give Quinnipiac the win.
Big win right there. And we're going to move on to some more women's lacrosse, this time against Marist at Marist. Quinnipiac looking to take advantage, keep the momentum going, I should say. And we're going to see Larkin here with a nice save right on the doorstep right there. And we're going to see similar ball movement by Marist here, but Larkin won't be able to save this one. That is a goal. Marist is going to be up 1-0 here. And we're going to see some Olivia Pizzano. She's going to score 3 straight goals to get her hat trick. They're going to be up 4-0. And then we're going to see Samantha Melik with her goal. They're going to go up 5-0. And we're going to move on to the second half here. And it's Melik again for her 3rd goal of the game. There's another hat trick. And Marist is going to go up 7-3 with that one. And then late in the second half, we're going to see Quinnipiac try to make a comeback, but it's just not going to be enough. They're going to lose 10-4 in this one. And now we're going to take a look at the MAC standings for the women's lacrosse side of things. And we're going to see Canisius is up there at 4-0, followed by Fairfield, Marist, Niagara, and Monmouth round out the top 5. Quinnipiac at 6th place at 2-2 in the conference, followed by Iona, Siena, and Manhattan.
The baseball continued conference play this weekend in Buffalo against the Niagara Purple Eagles. However, Quinnipiac wasn't able to keep up its momentum from last weekend's sweep over Marist. The Bobcats' 4 first-inning errors helped the Purple Eagles get runners on, and they took advantage of it. 2 doubles and a home run gave the hosts a 6-0 lead as they cruised to a 10-2 win. Quinnipiac starting pitcher Taylor Luciani threw 4 innings, giving up 7 runs on 6 hits. Just one of those runs were earned.
In Game 2, errors plagued the Bobcats again. In the home half of the first, freshman second baseman Evan Vogelmore made a throwing error, allowing the leadoff hitter to get to second base. Craig Cullen then ripped a single to give Niagara another early lead. Quinnipiac now to the score at 1 on a pass ball in the top of the second. In the bottom half of the last inning with runners on first and second and 2 outs, Owen Ziadoz singled to left to give Niagara the 2-1 win. Now we're going to take a look at the baseball standings. In the MAC, you see Niagara on top there at 7-2, followed by Fairfield, Siena, and Marist. And then Monmouth round up the top 5. Iona, Ryder, Manhattan, and then Quinnipiac in the 9th spot at 3-6 in the MAC, and then Canisius is below them. Now it's time
for a short break, Chris, but when we come back, the head coach of the women's tennis team, Paula Miller, is live in studio to talk about her team's winning ways.
And it was senior day for the men's tennis team. We'll give you the updates on how the Bobcats did against the MAC foe, Marist. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
And welcome into Studio 125.
So what? If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy.
Line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monument player.
Coming up on hashtag that.
We are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac vs. Northeastern Series.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The men's tennis team traveled to New York for a match with MAC rival Marist on Wednesday. The team held a 1-0 lead after doubles play, but then lost 4 of 6 singles matches. Marist escaped for the 4-3 win, staying unbeaten at 2-0 in conference play. Quinnipiac dropped to 3-1, but senior captain Kei Zaka set the program record with his 138th career win.
After the Marist match, the men's tennis team came back to Hamden for another match against Siena. The Bobcats defeated the Saints by sweeping them 7-0. Kei Zaka picked up 2 more wins during the match, bringing his total wins to 140. After the match, we caught up with Kei Zaka and head coach Chris Pappas. Let's see what they had to say.
It's amazing. It really is. He's just been such a, one of the things that's really great about Kei is he's a striver. He's not an achiever. He doesn't says mark on a goal. He doesn't want to meet a goal. He wants to blow past it. And he doesn't settle at any point in time. And, he got his game going today and just got it rolling. It's incredible. And I'm really excited to see not only Kei's playing so well, but the rest of his team, just see where we can go from here on out.
It feels great because, it's an honor to win matches here and be able to contribute to the program history here. And it's not over yet, so hopefully I could rack more wins and win the championship too. Of course, I played at one for 4 years and it's tough, but now I have the record, I'll crush it, you know. Like I'll do whatever I can to do that, make history. It was a long day to start. We had to wait for the women, and it was a tough condition, a little lower level school, but we worked hard to do our business here, and I think we did a good job today.
Actually, today was a great day. It was, it was a lot of energy with KB being our only senior, and all the hype he's generated lately with breaking the record and playing so well. So, he's done so much for the program. There's a lot of energy in today's senior day, and it was a great day.
The women's tennis team traveled to New Jersey for a non-conference matchup with Fairleigh Dickinson. The Bobcats swept the doubles matches for a 1-0 lead. They went on to split singles play 3-3, which was enough to win 4-3. Stidley Riccelli and Lila Rodriguez were the lone Bobcats to win both a doubles and singles match.
Senior day for the women's tennis team ended in a 6-1 victory over Siena. The Bobcats stay perfect in MAC play, improving to 4-0. It was the first loss of the season for Siena. Now the Saints moved to 4-1 in the MAC. As for the Bobcats, they honored 4 seniors before the match. The senior class was a part of 3 NCAA tournament teams looking to make another appearance this season. Now our very own Andrew Robinson, is standing live with the women's head tennis coach, Paul Miller. Guys.
The correct answer is 10 pearls and 2 rubies.
Hello, I'm Andrew Robinson, and we're here with Quinnipiac women's tennis coach, Paula Miller. Paula, we want to thank you for coming up here today and giving us your time.
No, thank you for having me.
No, not a problem. So you guys are 4-0 this season. You guys have been 8-0 the last 3 years. Haven't lost a game since coming into the MAC. That's very impressive. What do you think is some things that have made your team so successful over the past couple of years?
I think, we have our seniors who've been undefeated now. They're 33-0 in the MAC, so they know what we're looking to do, what we're looking to accomplish, and have that leadership is great. We play a lot of non-conference matches of tough teams to get us ready for the MAC conference. I think it's always great to play tougher teams to get us ready for the teams in our conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I said, you guys are already undefeated this year. What do you think you guys have to do to finish out the year undefeated and make it to the NCAA tournament again?
We have 3 more matches coming up in the next week. We play Monmouth, Marist, and Fairfield, and I think Fairfield and Monmouth will be the 3 and 4 of our conference. We just beat Siena yesterday, 6-1, and they were preseason 2. So if we come across one of those 3, we should be the 1 seed going into the conference end of April.
Sounds good. You spoke on the seniors earlier. You have 4 seniors this year that have been a very integral part of the team's success. Rachel Horton, Kelsey Oliphant, Cecilia Rancelli, and Sydney Young. What have they meant to your program?
Cecilia came in as a transfer from BCU, and the other 3 have been tremendous. They're right now both are 1 and 2 doubles teams combined, and 3 out of the 4 are in our singles lineup.
Wow.
They have the heart, they have the grit to win, they know they want to win. So they're teaching these younger kids, this is what we need to accomplish. We want to go out winning 4 years in a row, the MAC conference undefeated.
That's amazing. I noticed you guys have players from all over. You got players from Florida, California, Texas, even Canada. How have you been able to recruit at such a high level to maintain success over these past couple of years?
Yeah, the past couple of years I've been traveling a lot, recruiting to national tournaments, and word of mouth, you get one, and then everyone starts hearing from you. So when we had the 2 from California, we ended up getting 2 boys and a girl who all knew each other. So it's definitely once you start in a state and you get someone, it goes word of mouth, and you start getting more players. And the success of the school has also helped with the name of coming out.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for your time, Coach. I really appreciate you. Back to Sierra and Chris at the desk.
Thanks for having me.
Just because men's basketball season is over doesn't mean one player's story is any less important. Q30 got the chance to talk to Abdoulaye Bundu about his extensive journey to get here to Quinnipiac.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined here today with men's basketball forward Abdoulaye Bundu. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem.
All right, so let's get right into it. So what's it like coming from far away and, adjusting to life here at Quinnipiac, especially as a D1 athlete?
It's a little different, Things do move at a faster pace for me every day. My life is basically scheduled around basketball. So anytime I have something to do and they tell me I have to be at this time, I just have to stop what I'm doing and go ahead and, attend to whatever they want me to do. So The pace is a little different, like I said, but it's something I've gotten used to over the past year and a half. So.
That's great. So there was an article written about you, and it talked about how you came to America at a really young age. What was that like for you?
Different, because it was a shocking experience. Because the whole thing, I didn't know what was really going on. Honestly, I was just in my house at the moment. Uncle told me, "Wake up! It's dark, like damn near like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning." And it was just a lot going on. Next thing you know, I'm going from Sierra Leone to Senegal, from Senegal all the way to the United States. And I'm meeting my parents for the first time in 7 years. So, the whole thing it was a lot to take in at the moment, but I was very appreciative, like towards the end, but it's really a lot to take in.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that being a lot. So do you have any memories, like what is something that really stands out to you when you think back on that experience of coming here and adjusting to life in America?
I'm living with my parents now. I go from living with my grandparents, my uncle, my grandmothers, my nieces and cousins to actually living with my parents, my mom and dad, and my little brothers and my older brother. So I gotta go from a lifestyle of uncle, auntie to a mom and dad lifestyle, calling them mom and dad. Because when I first came in, about a year, it took me a year to adjust to the mom and dad call. I used to call them uncle and auntie. And, after a while, I think they got tired of it because they said, "Well, your mom and dad." I'm like, all right.
Mm-hmm. Truly such an inspiring story, Chris.
Yes, it is. Yes,
so
it is.
be sure to check out the full version of that interview with Abdoulaye Boudou on our website at q30television.com. But Chris, it's time for another short break. But when we come back, it is time for top 5 plays of the week, or the men's lacrosse game, we'll have to see.
And Mike Dalton will give his take on how well the spring sports have performed so far. Don't go away. Sports Paws will be right back.
Hello, Quinnipiac hockey fans, and welcome to the Neutral Zone.
Definitely St. Lawrence, and I think you're going to see the test coming up real soon.
They might be having a bit of an adjustment issue without that CBS line, but don't count them out.
At High Point Solutions Arena in Game 2 of Quinnipiac versus Northeastern Series.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown. And welcome into Studio 125.
So what? If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy.
I'm line getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monument player.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The women's track team had quite the trip to Miami last week as they set 3 program records during the meet. Jessica Lee set a 1 record in the hurdles event by beating her previous time in the same event. The next program record was broke. That was the 400-meter hurdles. It was Christina Barbaro who set the record. The third program record that was set at the meet was the discus throw. It was Mackenzie Merkel who set this record. Next meetup for the women's track team will be held at UMass on April 15th. All the spring sports are halfway through, and their seasons and their eyes are on the playoffs. We'll now send it to Mike Dalton, who is going to give us his opinion on how all the teams are doing so far.
Thanks, guys. I'm Mike Dalton, and this is my report card for every spring sports team as of right now. Last year, the men's lacrosse team went undefeated in MAC play with a 12-4 overall record. This year, the Bobcats are 1-3 in conference and have a 2-7 overall record. My grade for the men's lacrosse team is a C, not just because of their success last season, but because of how much talent was returning this year. When you have attackers Foster Cuomo and Brian Feldman, as well as goalkeeper Jack Brust, who was the 2016 MAC Tournament Most Outstanding Player, when you have that much talent returning, you've got to do better than this. For women's lacrosse, I'm going to give them a C+ because even though they have just 3 wins this season, they had 3 total wins last season. And with 4 games left to go in the season, the Bobcats have a chance to go 7-9 on the year. However, they would have to win every game, and their next game is against Fairfield, who is undefeated in MAC play so far. Allison Kuhn, Alex Leshak, and Ashley Babinski each have 20 or more points for the Bobcats. But when 23 of your 28 players have less than 10 points, that's a problem. As for the baseball team, they've had a very inconsistent season. They could go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, or they could go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Last year, after 25 games, the Bobcats had a 9-16 record. This year, they're 10-15 after 25 games. Although they have a better record, the Bobcats have surrendered 10 or more runs 8 times this year already, 2 more than last year after 25 games. I'm going to give baseball a B-, but that's only because they have 1 more win this season after 25 games than last year. For softball, I'm giving them a B- as well. Although Casey Herzog and Abby Long are 2 consistent and reliable starters, their offense needs to step up. Rebecca Drake has a .367 batting average, with Miranda Magana just trailing Drake with a .359 average. The next closest batting average is Kayla Cordero with a .277 batting average. If the Bobcats want to make it back to the MAC semifinals, they have to get the bats going. That's all from me. Back to you, Sierra and Chris.
We're going to go on to softball now. The softball team traveled down to New Jersey at Monmouth for a doubleheader. They lost both games 2-1. In Game 2, the lone Bobcat run came from a Lexi Courtney home run to right center field. With the 2 losses, the Bobcats now move to 3-3 in the MAC. Now we're going to toss it to Dylan Furin, who is at the touchscreen to give us his top 5 men's basketball players that are leaving the MAC next season. Dylan?
Thanks, guys. The MAC had a terrific season with Monmouth's extraordinary regular season, Iona's run to the NCAA tournament, and St. Peter's ending their season on a win with a CIT championship. But the MAC does lose a lot of talent. Let's take a look. These are our honorable mentions for the top 5 players the MAC loses. These guys are all transferring. Mikey Dixon and Peter Kiss from Quinnipiac have asked for their release. It's been granted. They've been taking visits. Cassius Robertson from Canisius will be a grad transfer. He'll have to play immediately. He won't have to sit at all. And Curtis Cobb will have to sit 1 and play 2, a sophomore from Fairfield, dynamic scorer, good defender. These are our honorable mentions as we look at the top 5 players that the MAC will lose, and they're all graduating seniors. We start with Marquise Wright. And so Marquise Wright had a terrific MAC season. A great career at CN, average 13 points per game, 42% from the field, and including a great MAC championship game against Iona on their home floor. Didn't get it done, but still a terrific career in the gold and green. Number 4 is Khalid Hart. Again, a fantastic career for Marist, 17 points per game on the season, 45% from the field. Marist, not the best program in the MAC, clearly. They did not have a great past few years, but Khalid Hart, a great individual player, and had a terrific career, so that he's going to be missed. He was a first-team All-MAC selection. Number 3, Quadir Welton. A really, really solid career, spanning 4 years at St. Peter's, including that CIT championship just a couple of weeks ago for the Peacocks. 56% on the season. Only 4 teams in college basketball end their season with a win, and St. Peter's was one of them, thanks to this man right here, Quadir Welton. That's number 3. And the last 2 guys, it was hard to pick, but number 2 is Jordan Washington. A 2-time MAC first-team selection, went to the tournament 2 times. He's a JUCO transfer for Iona and went to the tournament 2 years in a row. His only 2 years at Iona, 55% from the field, 18 points per game, 7.6 rebounds. Tim Cluse losing a big, big piece to a winning formula in New Rochelle, New York. And number 1, you got to go with Justin Robinson, the 2-time MAC Player of the Year. Turned around the Monmouth program along with King Rice, their head coach. A really solid senior year, 14 points, 42% from the field. They lose in the MAC semifinals against Siena on technically a neutral court, but really Siena's home floor, and then lost in the first round of the NIT. They had 2 amazing regular seasons the last 2 years in Justin Robinson's junior and senior season. So that's the top 5. The MAC clearly losing a lot of talent, but it still should have a great season next year. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Dylan. Now, Chris, it's time for Top 5 Plays of the Week, sponsored by B&D Deli Works, open for breakfast and lunch. So stop in and try the Quinnipiac Panini or Q-Dog sub.
Number 5, some great ball movement here by Marist. They're going to net that goal. Jack Bruss, no chance there.
In number 4, Marist Joe Tierney will find number 3, J.D. Recker for the behind-the-back goal. Unbelievable.
Nifty goal right there. We're going to move on to number 3 in the final seconds of the second half. Nice pass, even better finish for Marist right there. Great momentum going into the half.
Number 2 is Marist again. Clayton Frank with a snipe. Jack Bruss didn't even see that one coming.
And we're going to move on to our top play. It is Ryan Lawson with this lefty snipe right there to keep Quinnipiac in it late. It was so nice. We're going to watch it twice here in slow motion. Oh, what a nice goal right there. Quinnipiac, can't win this one. They're going to lose 9-8.
Well, that is all the time we have tonight. But be sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports and at sports_Paws for updates on all Quinnipiac athletics news.
And head over to our website at q30television.com for all the great content for our Q30 Sports crew.
And for everyone behind the scenes, he's Chris Stacy. I'm Sierra Goodwill. Have a great night.